Hello and welcome to AfriDominion. I'm Freeman Singirankabo, and thank you so much for tuning into our program today. For those of you joining us live, especially if you're joining us live straight from our social media, X, YouTube, or Facebook, welcome. We are so glad that you can spend some time out of your schedule to join us today. And be sure to subscribe, share, and follow our conversation today. And those of you also following us from other means such as radio or television, we also want to give you a huge warm welcome and asking you that you also get to share our program today. And we are driven by truth, love, and trust in this conversation or everything that we do here. And those are the benchmarks that we would like for you to view every single one of these actions that we take in front of you. And with that in mind, I also want to give you a huge welcome for those of you guys who are joining us for the very first time, asking you that if you'd like to get in touch with us, do so. You can find us on our website, which is www.afridominion.com. www.afridominion.com. Our main email, it's info@afridominion.com. info@afridominion.com. And with that in mind, guys, I want to give you a huge welcome to each and every one of you joining us alive today, especially that we made a few modifications on the times today. As you can see, we're broadcasting right now at 11:02 instead of 2 p.m. Local time. The reason being we have so many other conflicting program today, and we want to make sure that we are not late today. So we decided to come in a little early instead of late, so that we can be able to share some of the things that we feel is necessary to share as brothers and sisters. Since we have decided and have made our minds that we must do it by any means necessary. And with that in mind, guys, I want to jump right in the conversation because we do not have very much time, and we want to make sure that we are good keepers of our time. Today, I'm bringing you a conversation that talks about our self protection. As you have noticed, the beginning of this year, we told you that we are going to do everything possible to look after ourselves. And we are driven by the spirit of Ubuntu, the spirit of Ubumwe. In Kinyarwanda, Ubumwe means unity. And so some of the pillars that we are going to be some of the pillars that are going to be guiding us, especially this year. We have, we want to be mindful, we want to be unified, the unity, self protection, but also self development. Those are some of the three pillars that we are going to be using as a key vehicles to drive us forward. And with that in mind, guys, you can have unity and also lack the protection. Hence, our conversation today. I want to talk to you about how self protection starts with you at home. If you see something, say something. So that's pretty much what I want to talk to you guys about. So self protection starts at home with you, with me. If you see something, say something. And in the spirit of self protection, but also in the spirit of Ubuntu, also in the spirit of a unity, I want you guys to be mindful that we have so many things happening to us as Africans. And by the way, for those of you guys who are following our programs, and you are not necessarily an African, I want to submit to you that charity starts at home. If we have issues as Africans, before we call out for your help, we want to solve it ourselves. We want to take a bite at it ourselves, because you are not going to help us in the areas that we ourselves as Africans are not helping ourselves. And hence why we are galvanizing us as Africans to actually come to the full front of all the situation, face them head on, so that each and every one of the issues we have at hand, we can take care of it ourselves. Then you can jump in and help us out as well. And so, where is this conversation coming from? Why this topic today? I want to submit to you that in various African nations, specifically, even outside of Africa, anywhere you see a Black person, but specifically now within Africa, we have in the past, but also in the present, continued to witness death, disappearance, overreach of power, and complete abuse of our brothers and sisters, oftentimes by security organs of different departments of governments, officially and unofficially. In other words, you could be just minding your business, and all of a sudden you see a truck of a truck of full of unidentified or or security organs without uniform, and they come in and grab you and dump you in the truck. um, I want you guys to actually check me or fact check what I'm saying. If you go online right now, pick any one of the newspapers, major local newspapers, and see how you see literally disappearance publicly. People are being taken off the streets by security organs, shoveled into trucks, and taken away. And the unfortunate part of it, most of us, we are just looking shocked. And you barely see anybody taking a picture. You barely see anybody recording. You barely seeing anybody calling out for help. What if this is just a regular kidnapping? And these people are posing as security forces. Why do we continue to see these people outside of uniform? It makes no sense that you can actually be arrested. You can be you can be apprehended without cause, without at least furnishing some piece of papers. Somebody was laughing at me when I say that you've been away of Africa for so long, and he was like, "Here in Africa, we don't need to produce some sort of, we don't need to produce any piece of paper to arrest you. We don't need to produce any piece of paper to just kidnap you." Security organs, not the actual kidnapping, but the government or the so-called secret services within our governments, our African governments. And it buffers my head. It makes me feel so infuriated how our lives have so little value. Anytime you allow someone to literally come in and shove you in a truck, it's not just one person, it's usually a group of 3 or 4 people. They coming in looking like they going crazy. They grab you with no question asked, and they shove you in a truck. Many videos, many pictures showing. And sometimes those who are documenting these issues are actually working with those security organs. And the regular bystanders, once in a while, you can see them also taking pictures or at least trying to help out. But the majority of time, they say, mind your business. And so consequently, guys, um, a lot of families are being broken down today. You find that a family is missing a husband, a family is missing a wife, a family is missing a loved one, children, etc. And the majority of time, these security organs do not document you officially that they have you. They will take you to what's equivalent to black sites, right, where you may end up being tortured or whatever the reason that they're apprehending you. There are many websites that have been listing so many deaths, unexplained deaths, so many disappearances, all kinds of illegal ways that Africans are being harassed, tortured, killed, and so on. And today I want to submit to you that this is not the life that we should be living as Africans. This is not the life that we should be living as Africans. Why should I have to fear every time I step outside of my house? Why should I have to feel like I'm actually like I'm committing a crime every time you're stepping outside of your house? This has gone beyond racism. We know that as a part of racism, you can see racial profiling. We see that happening, especially in developed nations. Racial profiling, it's something that you see every day. But now specifically, black people or people of color, if I may pull it that way, we are targeted in many major cities outside of Africa, but now in Africa, we are explicitly targeted, especially if you're speaking up against injustice or if you have some sort of vendetta against a particular program established by government or a particular government official, minding you that on one side we are told that you have the liberty, you have the freedom to express yourself, to speak up, especially to speak up against some of those things that you may not necessarily like, that you may not necessarily agree with. Yet in the backdrop, they sent out these goonies, they grab you, they take you away, torture you, and oftentimes ask you, who are you working with? How can you have the audacity to speak against such and such and such and such? These are the people you never mention publicly. These are the people you never talk about publicly. And so they put the fear in you. They put the fear in your families. They put the fear in the communities. There is this unspoken understanding that certain officials are not to be talked about. Certain people can get away with murder in the open and nobody says anything about it. What kind of life are we setting up for ourselves? We just can't let the status quo. We cannot let this go like this. So in this 2025, in the spirit of Ubuntu, in the spirit of Ubunge or unity, we got to get together. We have to get together and self-defend ourselves. First and foremost, make sure that before you call the cops, before you call the police, or before you call your local security organs, call a few friends. If you don't have a phone, just there are many ways you can call out for help. Don't just let your brother or your sister disappear in front of you just because a few people come in and flash out some cards you didn't get a chance to document and take your brother, your sister, your neighbor, your friend, or any bystander away. We have been conditioned, or we have been trained, especially outside of Africa, that it's very, very important to mind your business. Most of us, especially in the West and in Europe, they said, you know what? It's none of my business. I don't know what you did, but it's on you. Africans, we can no longer afford to mind our business. If you see your brother or your sister is being harassed publicly, let it be your business. Because unlike outside of Africa, in most of the case, that brother, that sister might end up in a ditch 2 or 3 blocks away from there. Might go missing like this. If all of us, we mind ourselves or we mind our business. There is a lack of a proper handling of a lot of issues in Africa. Sometimes when I say there is corruption, it doesn't sink in the way I would like it to be presented, because corruption became like a regular word that almost has no value. When you have institutions that do not respect the very people they set up for, then those institutions are by default failing the people. Hence, us having to take it upon ourselves to learn how to protect ourselves, to learn how to defend ourselves. That doesn't mean that when you see a security personnel, an official security personnel, a police officer, or any one of those individuals trusted to handle your security, do not disrespect them. But at the same time, get to know in your head that some of them will take money on the side and come and harm you, and or turn a blind eye to those illegal activities taking place. And for this reason, I am saying to you, and I'm appealing to you, brothers and sisters, there are so many ways that we can that we can use, or so many mechanisms that we can use to help ourselves, but at the same time, keeping ourselves safe. Now, understand me well. I am not suggesting that you put yourself in harm's way, helping your brother or your sister. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm also suggesting that at the same time, make sure that you are safe. And Once you are safe, call out. Call out. On this side of town or in the West, there are many ways that people look after each other. One of the most popular way that people find themselves or find yourself looking after yourself is what we call neighborhood watch. So neighborhood watch is nothing other than just looking something that is outside of ordinary within your neighbor or within your neighborhood. You will notice that oftentimes if you live in a very specific neighborhood, if you go in there, some people might look at you funny. Now that could also be misinterpreted, or that could also be used against you in some in small instances. But the majority of time, there is a necessity for us to be each other's brother's keeper, each other's sister's keeper. If you see people who don't belong in your neighborhood, especially when they do look suspicious, such that they either trying to break into someone's house, they taking photographs, they taking pictures, and you know they don't belong there. Approach them, ask them what's going on with you. I know most of you have been preconditioned to mind your business. Most of you have been put, they have put a fear in you that you literally look away, even when someone is being robbed. The time is now that we bring back that spirit of Ubuntu, that spirit of Ubumge, unity. We must unify as one people, and we must self-defend before we call out these police officers, before we call out these security organs. Unfortunately, the response time for a lot of these security organs are very poor. In other words, you could be dead by the time you wait on them to come and help you out. And so consequently, you are going to be the one protecting yourselves before they come and protect you. So as I was saying, it is very necessary. It is very, 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 very necessary that when you see something taking place, call out your friends. The majority of us now, we have cell phone with us. We have easy forms of connection. If you're indoor and you see something happening outside, get in your window and take pictures. Take a video. Don't just be a bystander and let someone get kidnapped publicly. Whether it's these unmarked vehicles or security personnel in civilians, whoever that's doing that, take a picture of them. Make sure that we do have that information. Make sure that you share that information with others. Because tomorrow it could be you, it could be me. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of people who have disappeared. Now, here I'm talking generally, but sometimes it may actually help to speak specifically. Personally, I was born in Rwanda. Most of you see Rwanda as one of the shining stars, shining nations of exemplary. But one of the things that you do not know is that in Rwanda, you literally we literally see multiple death, unexplained death, disappearance. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who have disappeared, or they have no public record, no police record of them being apprehended. Yet the so-called security organs have picked you up on the street. They have come in and knocked at your door. We take testimonies almost daily of a lot of these unexplained disappearance. We know that they are being taken away by security organs, but the reason isn't communicated. There's so many other nations currently that are experiencing upheaval, turmoil amongst the people. And oftentimes during this chaos, many lives are perished unnecessarily. And so we have to be able to figure out a way to protect ourselves. If we don't do it now, nobody's going to do it for us. It's imperative that we do it ourselves. It breaks my heart when I see these little children screaming or asking, "Where's my daddy? Where's my mama?" And oftentimes, when journalists go out there after the disappearance or after this unexplained death, then all of a sudden the news becomes interesting. But where were you when it was happening? Where was your friends, your neighbors? How come nobody came forward with some information? There is a mistrust, we understand, with the people and the security personnel. We have to figure out a way to bridge that gap. And if we can trust them, at least let's create some sort of our own internal way of protecting ourselves. This is the manner of death and lives for some people, but also on the greater scheme of things. As Africans, I told you before and I repeat it right now, we are on the verge of extinction, even though they're counting us in billions right now. But there are many various ways that us as Africans, we are being killed today. And so this is the time for us to wake up. This is the time for us to actually be on the lookout for ourselves and our families. Trust but verify. Be on the lookout. Don't just allow things to happen just because someone flashes some sort of a badge telling you that, you know what, step aside. Take some sort of documentation. Even if they call themselves the official police, do not interfere. Step away, record what is happening. Take pictures away from them so that they don't say that you're interfering with whatever it is that's happening. But you have the right to keep track, to keep records of what is happening. If you don't do it, some of them may not necessarily follow the guidelines. But if it's your loved one, I would hope that you know why they are taking him or her. What's the charge? And challenge them to produce some sort of paperwork. Before the police officer, before any of the security organs normally are dispatched, there is already a written sanction, be it officially or unofficially. These security personnel do not just pick and go unless they are renditioning their own off the books sort of operation. That also happens amongst ourselves. But in this 2025, we must say no to all these unexplained death, to all these disappearances, to all this overreach of power. Just because you're an official, it doesn't mean that you can kill any person that you see fit. Those power that were bestowed upon you, they are supposed to be utilized for the greater good of the people, not for your personal vendettas or your personal interest. And not only that, most of you during your swearing ceremony, you usually would say, I would never use this power bestowed upon me for personal gains. Yet, few days afterwards, few months afterwards, you do the very same thing that you have publicly said that you would not do. So we have to take it upon ourselves to take bigger steps, bigger actions, including removing some of these people. Remember, they work for us. These are public servants. A public servant who's treating you like a dog, who's treating you like a second, a third, fourth citizen. These are not the kind of people that we need to represent us. It is going to be hard to have the leadership of our choosing if we do not take a part in it. If you do not check to make sure that what they say they are going to do, it is also being delivered. So we all must involve in one way or the other. Be involved, be involved, be involved. One of the other things that I continue to witness or to see through a lot of the reports that I read, um, it is oftentimes the issue of being bullied. Just because you have a badge, it doesn't mean that you can come and bully me. You were never given a badge to bully these people. But we've seen many, many, many reports of these security personnel bullying the people, bullying the locals. It is about time that we stop this treatment of, you deal with the people as if they are animals. We're disrespecting ourselves, but also in turn you're disrespecting you. If I see you mistreating me or mistreating a loved one or a friend, I'm already suspicious of you. And most of the time, I am going to react. And those reactions may not necessarily be very helpful. And so we have to step back and begin all over to actually strategize. You already know those who are harassing you before they even come. Let's take measures ahead of time against these people, against these organizations. Let's document and let's document and let's document. If you know something is happening, find at least 2, 3, or 4 confident and share the same information. And if you see something happening in real time, if you don't want to be involved, be in a corner, record, take pictures. And when it's time, when you feel safe or secured, share that information. In 2025, it makes no sense that someone can be murdered on the street of any of these major cities and none of you come out to give witness, even when you are scared. You've got these security cameras that oftentimes are recording real time. But when these operations are orchestrated by the same forces that are overseeing over these securities, those tapes are not going to be produced. Oftentimes, they might say that the security camera was overwritten. There are a lot of excuses. Why? That word, corruption. So make sure that we actually we fit in the gaps. Now, it may sound a little bit of unorthodox to say that call 2 or 3 people before you call the police. Oftentimes in the West or in Europe, they say anything happen, call the police, call 911 or call whatever the number that you're supposed to call locally, because they want you to mind your business. But please, let's get back into being each other's brothers and keepers, each other's sitters keepers. It is not called minding your business elsewhere when you're actually saving a life. There are many, 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 many accounts of those of you who were helped by a bystander who never knew you. But when they saw what was happening, they said, no, that isn't right. They put themselves at harm's way, but they came through for you. So don't mind your business when another person is being harmed, is being harassed. Even when you don't know them, at least help a little bit. So it's very necessary that this self-protection starts at home with me, with you. And then, of course, with the local security. But it always has to start off with me and with you, with our families, with our friends. I trust myself better and I trust my inner circles better before I trust a security personnel. That's just truth. That's just raw truth. Why? Because we've seen so many gaps in the way they handle security. And oftentimes, you may easily become a suspect before they even listen to you. And so, because we know that some of these things are happening, we have an obligation to clean out the house. We got to clean up. But that cleaning up isn't coming overnight. These are institutions that are literally rooted. So when you want to clean out an institution, you have to unroot a tree, and that doesn't start overnight. And you certainly won't be able to finish it up overnight either. But we got to start from somewhere. Let's strengthen our neighborhood watch. There is neighborhood watch. There is be my brother's keeper. Be on the lookout for your friends. Call out and say, hey, something's up. Let's figure out what's going on. Once you call out 2 or 3 people, also call the local security personnel. But don't just let this go uninterested. Don't mind your business when your brother or your sister is being physically violated, including being killed. And you go to sleep and let it be like nothing has happened. We're not animals, guys. We are not animals. So today we can do better and we must do better. And so, and with that in mind, guys, I want to call every single one of you, especially those of you in big cities and also rough neighborhoods where you have been written off as a community of no good, or community that is already rough and therefore crime is the usual thing. Don't be a stat. Don't be a statistic number. If you know, or if your community is regarded as a no good to nothing kind of community, prove them wrong. You live there, I live there. If we know that something is off within our community, especially when it regards or as it regards to security, let's do something about it ourselves. If it is our own who are violating us, who are creating this instability and insecurity, let's figure out a way to deal with them as well. Again, I'm not suggesting that you put yourself in harm's way, but there are many ways to handle security issues within our communities. It is sometimes very sickening to see the things the newspapers are writing about various community. All these, all these killings, public killings, all these guns. They're talking about that, because of this and because of that, or even gang-related activities. How do we have open gangs in our own communities? And we allow that to flourish. In other words, we are also a part of the problem. The same way we are a part of a problem, we can also be a part of the solution. But we have to be willing to be a part of the solution. So in this 2025, let not that be you. Participate, and participate. Last but not the least, I also want to let you know that if you have seen something, but you are afraid to report it, especially in case you think that it's gonna come back and bite you, by all means, send it to us. We can also help. We have been forming a lot of these alliances with the locals so that we can be able to communicate to one another, so we can be able to be on the lookout. In other words, what we are talking about right now and what we are communicating with you right now, we are also involved. And therefore, if you see something and you are afraid to tell it to the police, share it with us, and we will actually forward to the police. Openly, I'm telling you that. If you see something and you're not comfortable reporting it, forward it. Forward it to us, and we will do that on your behalf. Please put down our information so that they can be able to find a way to get in touch. If you go to our website www.afridominion.com, you'll find our information there. Phone number, email. We also have secure way that you can get in touch with us. We are more than happy to participate because we have to be proactive for our own lives, and consequently, your life matters the most. But there is a reason why you're on this planet also. So don't just check out before your purpose is completed. So I want to encourage each and every one of you to become your brother's keeper. Don't mind your business as the way we have been trained. Learn how to be your brother's keepers, especially in the things related to security. It's imperative, it's important. And if we don't do it ourselves, nobody's going to do it for us. And so, with that in mind, guys, I want to wrap it up. But I also want to tell you again that self protection starts with you. It starts with me. It starts at it starts at home before it goes to the police, before it goes to the local security organs. Make sure that you share with your friends, with your family member, something that you have seen, something that you have witnessed. Take pictures, take videos where possible, but have some sort of visual account as to what has happened. We can no longer allow our brothers and sisters to just die like they are dogs or some other valueless animals. We can no longer allow our brothers and sisters to just be shoved into trucks and driving off without knowing what has happened. Let's start becoming each other's brothers and keepers, brothers and sisters keepers. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our families. We owe it to our communities. But last but not the least, we owe it to our own nations in Africa as a whole. We have to unite ourselves as Africans. We have to unite ourselves as nations, as communities, and as families. Regardless of our various differences, we can also have so many, many, many common things that we share. So let's really act out all those wishes, because in the end, our success will be for all of us. If I succeed, you will succeed. If you succeed, I will succeed. Our families are going to succeed. Therefore, our communities are going to succeed. But consequently, also our nations will succeed. And so, with that in mind, guys, this is it for me for right now. And I want to say that I'm so sorry for those of you guys who have been going through a lot of these security issues. I'm so sorry for those of you who have loved ones who have disappeared for years, for months, for weeks, for days, without knowing what has happened to them. I am so sorry for those of you guys who have lost your loved one through unexplained death. And I'm so sorry for those of you guys who are right now actually calling up for help because a loved one has disappeared. All of these things, if we are working together, we can actually do something about it that's not just positive for your own family, but for all of us as communities. And therefore, I really want to plead with you to be a part of this movement, be a part of the change wherever you are, inside of Africa or outside of Africa. Do something. One of the things that we cannot afford to do is to do nothing about it. We cannot afford to just be bystander anymore. Because we have witnessed in so many cases where uh, one person is just chilling, is just doing all right, and witness something happens, mind his or her business, and the next day becomes them. And because they have minded their business, because they were uninterested, and others treat them exactly the way they have treated those who came before them. Let us not be that kind of community. Let's rejuvenate our Ubuntu amongst ourselves. Let's rejuvenate our Ubunge unity. Let's unify as one people. Let's defend ourselves as one people. I owe it to you, you owe it to me, but we also owe it to ourselves. And guys, with that in mind, I want to say thank you so very much. And as we continue to roughen up, or as we continue to live, as we continue to survive, it is my wish and my desire that we get to have a fulfilled life. Don't just disappear like you don't matter. Don't just exist like you are here to just live and then die tomorrow. Do something that we can remember you of. See it through that your gift and your purpose here on planet Earth is fulfilled before you go, before you go back to where you came from. And with that in mind, guys, thank you so very much for listening and watching me. I am Freeman Singiran Kabo here at AfriDominion. Allow me to wish you a beautiful day. Those of you guys who are going to sleep, have a beautiful night. Those of you waking up, a good day. And those of you who are still daylight, I want to wish you a super fantastic day. Until next time, I bid you farewell and peace.